Hey guys, welcome back. As you know by now, this is one of my favorite guitars, the Squier Affinity Tele, and since it's time for a regular string change, I decided to do some upgrades. The first thing it's gonna get is a brand new set of these Elixir 946 strings. I really like this hybrid set because you get the slinkiness of the 9 set with the bottom 3 strings, and you get a harder rock sound with the top 3 strings from a 10 set. In addition to that, we're gonna do some fret polishing, some cleaning and maintenance, and we're gonna upgrade the tuners with this set of Fender tuners that I got left over from one of my Fender Strats. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take off these old strings. I'm gonna start by loosening them all up. And to make things easier, I'm just gonna use my wire cutters and cut them off. I'm gonna remove them from the old tuners, and at this point, depending on how they were wound, you should be extra careful not to poke yourself. Since this Tele is a top loader, removing the other half is extra easy because the strings go right through the bridge. Now that the strings are off, this is a perfect time to do some basic cleaning of your guitar. I use this Dunlop 65 formula and a microfiber cloth. I'm also doing some basic cleaning of the neck for now, and since all the strings are off, this is a perfect opportunity to get to all those places you can't get to when the strings are on. So after recording with this guitar for nearly 2 years, it's time to polish these dull frets to a nice mirror finish. I found the quickest way to do this is with using a Dremel tool and a polishing bit, and I'm also going to use this fretboard protector with 2 pieces of painter's tape so that I don't damage the wood. I'm using a little bit of this polishing compound that came with the Dremel tool, and I found it works really good on the frets. All you really need to do is run over the fret a few times until you get that nice mirror finish. I'm gonna speed this part up so you don't have to wait till I get to all of them. As you can see, every few frets I put a little more polishing compound on the tool and just move on down the fretboard. So now that they're all nice and shiny, it's time to clean all the junk off of the wood. I found the best way to do this is by using a little bit of lighter fluid, and it works like a charm. The next thing I want to do today is replace these Squier tuners with a set of Fender tuners that I got from my old Strat. So the first thing I'm doing is taking a 10mm wrench to loosen the bolts that hold the tuners. Now there's a little bit of drilling involved here because the old tuners, as you can see, have pilot holes for 1 pin that holds them in place, while the new Fender tuners all have 2 pins that hold them in place. So we're gonna have to drill a few more holes. This is not a problem because after you install the tuners, the holes are underneath and the holes won't be visible. We're gonna start by putting all the new tuners into their place and loosely tighten each of their nuts. The goal here is to somehow mark the position for the holes you need for the 2 additional pins on each Fender tuner. So the first thing I need to do is to align them perfectly, and the idea is to tighten the nut on the front side enough so that the 2 pins dig a little bit into the wood on the back side and leave a mark where we need to drill. To align the tuners, I'm going to be using a piece of wood and a wood clamp to make all the new tuners parallel with each other. Once we have the tuners aligned, we're going to use the 10mm wrench again to tighten the nuts so that the pins of the new tuners dig themselves into the wood a little bit on the back side of the headstock. Once this is done, when you take the tuners off, as you can see, their pins made an impression in the wood where the new holes need to be drilled. I have measured that the width of the pins is exactly 2.3mm, and I'm going to be using one of these precision drill bits of the same size. Here I am using a little hammer and a nail to mark the center of each hole where the pins made the indentation. Here you can see what the headstock looks like after I've marked all the holes. And now it's ready for drilling. You need to be extra careful not to drill all the way through the headstock, so for this purpose I'm putting a piece of masking tape on the drill bit so that I have a reference of how deep each hole needs to be. After that, all that's left is to drill all the holes, and once again be very careful not to drill through the headstock. Here is what it looks like after all the holes have been drilled. All that's left to do now is just to place the new tuners into their holes and tighten their nuts on the front side. A little push on each tuner is needed here to sit the pins into their holes that we drilled to the exact dimensions. Here I am installing the washers and the nuts for each tuner, tightening them with my hand as much as I can. And after we tighten them with a 10mm wrench, the job is done. So there we go, folks. This is what it looks like. This Squier Affinity Tele just got a brand new set of Fender tuners, and hopefully it will stay with me for many years. The last thing I want to do in today's video is install this set of Elixir strings, and I want to give you a few pointers on how to keep your guitar in tune. The one thing I realized in my 20 years of playing is that to help the tuning stability, you should have as few turns around the tuner posts as possible. So how you wind your strings around the tuner posts is very important. First, you start by aligning the hole in the tuner at around 1 or 2 o'clock if you look at the headstock standing up. Once you have the string through the hole, you tighten it with your hand and you go clockwise. You push the string underneath itself and pull it up, and while you tighten the string, it catches onto itself and you're left with not even a quarter turn around the post. This is what helps the tuning stability because there's much less string to keep stretching when you leave your guitar. You repeat this process for all 6 strings and they will stay in tune much better than before. One other tip I want to give you is when you cut the excess string off, you take the remainder of the string that is now facing up and with a pair of needle nose pliers, turn it down towards the wood of the guitar. This trick will help you save your guitar case or your gig bag from getting damaged by the sharp strings. On the plus side, you will also not poke yourself or anybody else for that matter. At this point, we need to tune the guitar to pitch, but don't worry, at this stage you don't have to be very accurate because there's still one important step for our tuning stability. The most important step of all in my opinion, and that is string stretching. You must have noticed by now that once you change your strings, for the first few hours or days of playing, your guitar constantly keeps going out of tune and the notes are flat. The reason for this is because most people skip this step, and that is to properly stretch your strings. I like to use a rag for this, but you can do it directly with your fingers. Grab the strings from underneath with your fingers and push down with your thumb and slide along the string the whole length of the string. Repeat this process a few times for all your strings, and after that, when you tune up to pitch, it will stay in tune and will not keep going flat. Well, that's it for today's work. This is what the frets look like, all nice and polished. All that's left now is to take it for a test drive. Alright, thanks for watching till the end. As always, links to tabs for all the riffs and other goodies are down in the description. Please hit the subscribe button, it's totally free for you and it helps me too. Hit the bell for notifications, and if you like my videos, hit that like button for the algorithm. If you don't, make sure to hit that dislike button twice. Special thanks to all my patrons, and I'll see you in the next one.